boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Now, we know we like to cover rumors around here with all this kind of fun stuff because I, Jesse, your humble common nerd, boys and girls, we like to take things through a common sense lens. And you know what? We've got people out there that have been reliable sources of rumors before, and time again. And I know not all the channels like to cover them, but I enjoy covering them because it's fun to be ahead of the curve. And honestly, it's fun just to talk about this stuff because we're nerds, we're geeks, we like fan casting, we like to think about who we'd like to do that. Well, as we know that, of course, that Marvel is getting ready to introduce the X-Men after why they've waited this long. Oh, that's right. They finally got rid of all their activist producers and are no longer just producing a bunch of woke mind rot gut out of Marvel. At least that's the hope anyway. But needless to say, boys and girls, we know that the X-Men are coming, right? We know that Marvel's getting ready to bring them in. There's rumors that they could show up even as early as Avengers Doomsday, which would be very fascinating, very interesting. Well, one of those characters obviously would have to be Jean Grey. Of course, herself, one of the most popular characters out there. She's an absolute staple to the X-Men universe out there. And of course, everybody loves the Phoenix saga with the Dark Phoenix and everything else. And there's a lot of really cool stuff. Well, it turns out, according to Jeff Snyder over there at the Snyder Podcast, we may now know who's the front runner for our Jean Grey out there. And boys and girls, in a surprising turn of events, Hollywood is actually not going to cast a black woman and replace a redhead with another person out there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we might actually be keeping a redhead, which is, of course, what Jean Grey should be. So we're going to check out the rumors. Here we go. Spoiler alert. From CosmicBook.News and our dear sweet Matt McGloin, MCU's X-Men, Sadie Sink, rumored as Jean Grey. Yes, boys and girls, one of the recent additions to the Stranger Things roster out there in the last few seasons. Of course, Sadie Sink is the redhead out there, the one that's been running through that show out there. And it's a lot of fun. She's a good actress. I think she's done a good job. And just the fact that they're keeping a redhead is a really good thing. And honestly, the girl's had quite a bit of a glow up over the last few years. And I don't have a problem with this in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to check out this article from CosmicBook.News, getting all the juicy details because we have an idea of when they might actually appear, as well as some other information going on along with all the back end, and of course what Kevin Feige plans on doing, all that kind of stuff. So stick around, boys and girls. We've also got some lovely pictures from Sadie Sink over on her Instagram as well that might give you a better idea for some of you out there who might be a little not so much as her as Jean Grey. Got a couple of pictures we'll show you out there, and maybe that'll convince you as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. What do you think of Sadie Sink as Jean Grey? Is there an actress out there you'd prefer to have your player? Does it surprise you that Disney Marvel is actually going to keep a redhead as a redhead and not actually change them like we've seen all of the kind of stuff happen throughout Hollywood over the years? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So for Matt McGloin over at CosmicBook.News, a big rumor hits that Marvel is eyeing Sadie Sink as Jean Grey for the MCU's X-Men. The 22-year-old actress is known for playing Max Mayfield in the uber-popular Netflix series Stranger Things, which recently wrapped its final season. According to her IMDb, her schedule is wide open. And one of the other things, too, is she's not going to cost a lot either, right? That's the other thing about this, too, is we know Marvel, well, we know Disney as a whole is broke, but Marvel specifically is definitely broke right now. They don't have very much money. That's why Kevin Feige and Bob Iger and everybody else announced that they're not going to be putting out projects constantly like they've all been. And guess what? Sadie Sink's a TV star, essentially, a Netflix TV star, so you're going to be able to get her a little on the cheaper side and save some money going forward, and that's probably a smart decision. So she's not as well known as some of these other people out there you'd see, and honestly, like I said, I got no problems with this whatsoever. So the rumor comes from Jeff Snyder, who says that Sadie Sink is the front runner to play Jean Grey and could debut in the MCU as early as Avengers Doomsday. Now that would be a hell of an explosive actor, and honestly, that kind of lines up with what we've been hearing about rumors before, that would be a good place to bring all that kind of stuff in. We know they're kind of doing like a Secret Wars kind of thing and all of that other kind of stuff when it comes to that movie, which we honestly, I've made this comment several times in the past. I do believe that Secret Wars is going to be what Kevin Feige uses to like completely and totally erase a lot of the people out there that are not working in the MCU right now. You know, the Kamala Khans, the Captain Marvels, you know, all of that kind of stuff, all the kind of weird stuff that happened in that Secret Wars show, that Secret Invasion show, and all that other kind of stuff out there. So yeah, needless to say, that's kind of what we're going on with this right now. So obviously, this is a picture here from Sadie Sink, looking very lovely, natural redhead. I mean, she looks like a redhead should. She's got freckles. She's got all that kind of stuff. As a guy that's partial to redheads, yeah, she's a beautiful girl. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl. So we're going to get to those pictures here on our Instagram here in just a second. I promise. I wasn't just teasing you. I haven't forgotten. We're going to get to those here in just a second. But let's get over some of the more information before we get to the fun stuff. So the X-Men have yet to emerge in the MCU. Marvel Studios recently announced release dates for 3 untitled MCU movies in 2028, which follows Avengers Secret Wars in 2027. Untitled X-Men movies, maybe? Kevin Feige has said that there will be a new age of mutants in the Marvel universe. Feige has also teased that some of the X-Men characters will be part of the MCU leading up to Secret Wars. So Sadie Sink playing Jean Grey in Avengers Doomsday fits. A month ago, Feige offered, I think you will see that continue in our next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize. Right after that, the whole story of Secret Wars will release us into a new age of mutants and of the X-Men. Again, it's one of those dreams come true. We finally have the X-Men back. And I agree. That's one of the things that was one of the big things that was like, as soon as they fully acquired all the rights to Fox and they had access to the entire Marvel library and all that kind of stuff, I was like, why did you not fast track an X-Men movie? Like, what are you doing with yourselves? Yeah, but we know why, right? We obviously all you gotta do is look at the garbage that's come out over the last few years. I mean, Eternals, anybody? Trust me, we know why, right? Because we're glad and be glad that they didn't do it during that era right there, right? Like we know from all the rumor mill and stuff like that they fired a bunch of the activist producers and all that kind of stuff inside of Disney Marvel. The real question is, do they actually still have anybody with talent left inside that company that actually write and do a good job with the X-Men, with the mutants, and especially with Jean Grey and be able to actually bring her properly together? I don't know. We'll wait and see, but this is where we're sitting at right now. So Sophie Turner recently played Jean Grey on the big screen with Famkes playing the character in the original X-Men movies out there. So these 3 release dates, February 18th, 2028, May 5th, 28th, and November 10th. It's also been speculated that one of them might be Black Panther 3, which Marvel recently confirmed is happening. So Avengers Doomsday hits May 1st, 2026. So just in time for my birthday here in a little over a year and a half, boys and girls. And this is where it comes down to, because I know I had some people out there in my chat too that they weren't even sold, because we record these videos Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. when we do our morning prep. You should guys come hang out. It's a good time on that one. But when some of the guys were like, Sadie Sink, really? Not so much. So we decided, since the Instagram picture was already here, and I think she looks very lovely in this one, why not we just go over there and check out her Instagram and see if maybe that'll convince some of you out there that might be naysayers as well, because it did seem to convince some of those folks out there in the chat. So we've got her Instagram over here. Nothing too crazy, nothing too outrageous, but we do have some very lovely pictures of her like this. Now, I even mentioned this during my live stream as well, other than like trimming up her eyebrows or something like that. There isn't a damn thing I'd do different about this girl. I mean, she's got beautiful, like greenish kind of blue eyes. She's got the red hair, which of course lines up perfectly with our dear sweet Jean Grey out there. I thought they had a picture of her in here somewhere. They didn't have a picture of her in this one. But it's one of those situations where this is kind of one of those things that you look at it like this, you see this one's a pretty good one. You got some lovely little photos from her. That one, a nice little black and white kind of candid shot. But there's some other ones like this one's a really nice one. She looks very lovely in that one. Definitely a very beautiful girl. She's definitely grown up a lot in the last few years. I mean, hell, that means she was starting. It was so funny. I mean, if she's 21 now, that means when she started doing Stranger Things, she was like 15, 16, 17 kind of time frame. But you've got some very lovely ones here. You got some good stuff here. This one's pretty nice as well. Got her whole hair all done up right properly. You got another one here looking absolutely gorgeous and stunning in that one. So, there's definitely a few options over here that you definitely give you the eyes. I mean, look at that one. I mean, with her hair done and like that and everything else. I mean, you could totally see it like kind of a Jean Grey kind of feeling right here on this one, right? And like it's one of them situations you could totally see. That's one of the ones from a while back, but like that one's from a couple of years ago. But I mean, look at this one here in the red dress there. That's another great example of some of the stuff. I mean, this one right here is another great one as well. So there's a lot of really good examples of like I think everybody's just thinking of her from like Stranger Things and thinking about how she looks and they made her kidified because that's what she's supposed to be doing. She's supposed to be playing like a middle. I think at this point they're like teenagers. They just got to high school or something like that. So it's one of those situations where she's intentionally supposed to be playing younger. So I can understand where a lot of people might come off from that, but I think she's becoming a very beautiful girl, and I think she'll end up making a really good Jean Grey if they can get the writers and the directors down right properly. That's because that's really what it all ends up coming down to. She can be as beautiful as she wants. She can be spot on as Jean Grey. She can look the part and everything else, but if the writing and the directing are crap, then it's still going to end up being crap. So that's the update for today. That's the rumor mill. That's really kind of all we've got on this kind of situation. There's not a lot more to it to say other than I think Sadie Sink would end up being a good Jean Grey. I think she's a good actress. I think she's done a good job on Stranger Things. Can she do more than just that? I don't know. We'll find out. And obviously the real question at the end of the day is even if Marvel did indeed fire all of the activist producers, which there's no reason for us to believe that there's not. The sources that they come from, they wouldn't lie to us. There's just no reason that they wouldn't. There's no reason that they would lie to us about that kind of stuff, especially with it being film threat and Chris Gore and all of that kind of thing. So the real question is, we know we're getting X-Men. We know they're coming. We know there's a very good possibility that Sadie Sink will be our Jean Grey, and she could even show up as soon as Avengers Doomsday, that would be wild and crazy and a very nice, slow way to do it. Kevin Feige's basically teased that there'll be some mutants that you recognize coming forward. And honestly, it's one of them situations, if nothing else, at the end of the day, they have to see if they can pull off the writing or not. We don't know if they've got any good writers left, but hey, if nothing else, boys and girls, after shout out to one of my very first videos to ever crack 100, the war on redheads, at least, boys and girls, for this sake right here, we'll at least be getting a Jean Grey that looks the part, if nothing else, a proper redhead with the proper color eyes and everything. And at the end of the day, boys and girls, sometimes what more could you really ask for? So it's only a matter of time before we find out. So here's the real question. Kevin Feige, can you give us good X-Men? We'll be sitting here waiting to find out. And trust me, you will get whatever reaction you deserve either way, because after all, you're doing this to yourself.